When Taylor Swift got engaged this year, millions of strangers who have never met her felt something close to genuine grief and joy at the same time. Not fans in the casual sense. People who talk about her like a close friend going through something big. There's a word for that feeling now, an old academic term that just became famous, and dictionary researchers say the reason it blew up says something uncomfortable about how your own brain works. Stick with this, because the explanation gets stranger than the headline. The word is parasocial, and it's not new. Two sociologists at the University of Chicago coined it back in 1956, watching how people related to the faces they saw on early television. Viewers started talking about news anchors and talk show hosts like neighbors. They felt greeted, remembered, spoken to directly, even though the screen obviously couldn't see them back. The researchers called this one-sided intimacy parasocial interaction, and for decades it stayed a niche academic phrase. Then social media happened, then AI chatbots happened, and suddenly everyone needed a word for a feeling they'd been having for years without a name. None of this is actually brand new behavior, even if the word is having a moment. Kids have talked to imaginary friends for as long as anyone's been studying childhood. People have prayed to figures they'll never meet in this life. Soldiers carried photographs of actresses they'd never speak to. What changed isn't the impulse. It's the volume and the fact that now, for the first time, the thing on the other end can respond. Cambridge Dictionary made it official this year. Parasocial is their word of the year, and the example right in their announcement was the one you just heard, Taylor Swift's engagement, met by millions of strangers processing it like news about a close friend. A British singer's new album did something similar, mapping her real breakup, so directly that listeners discussed it like gossip about someone they actually knew. The lead editor there said something worth sitting with. This used to be a specialist term confined to academic papers, and now millions of people are living it without ever learning the word for what they're doing. Lookups spiked hard, not because a textbook got popular, because of an engagement announcement, and a breakup album, and a feeling millions of people suddenly had a name for. Here's where it gets genuinely strange. A social neuroscientist at Ohio State named Dylan Wagner studies exactly this question, how your brain tells the difference between a real relationship and a fictional or one-sided one. His early answer is unsettling. It mostly doesn't. The same mental machinery that builds a model of your best friend, tracking what they like, how they'd react, what they'd say next, gets recruited for a celebrity you've never met or a character who was never real to begin with. Your brain isn't running a separate program for screens. It's running the same one it always has. Wagner has a theory about where this goes next, and it flips the usual worry on its head. Everyone's scared that fictional relationships are creeping in to replace real ones. His hypothesis runs the other direction. As more of your actual relationships move onto a screen, texting instead of talking, video calls instead of rooms, your brain may start processing real people more like it processes fictional ones, not because fiction got more real. Because your genuinely real relationships got flatter, filtered down to a voice and a face on glass, missing the smell, the presence, the thing your animal brain used to tell the difference. Not everyone leans into this the same amount, either. Studies on attachment style found a clear split. People who score high on attachment avoidance, the ones who keep real relationships at arm's length, form stronger bonds with fictional characters, specifically using them as a stand-in for connection that feels safer than the real thing. People high in attachment anxiety go a different way. They report something researchers call a false sense of mutual awareness, genuinely feeling like the relationship goes both directions, even when it obviously can't. Quick honest question for whoever's watching this. Do you know more about a stranger's life through their videos than you know about your actual neighbor? Most people do, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything's wrong with them. It just means the algorithm handed them thousands of hours of one specific person's face, voice, and daily thoughts, and your brain did exactly what brains have always done with repeated exposure. It built a relationship out of it, whether anyone asked it to or not. Now, before this sounds purely bleak, it's worth saying the research doesn't actually land there. A researcher at the University of Houston who studies this put it plainly, a parasocial relationship is safe. Your favorite celebrity can't reach out and reject you. For people dealing with low self-esteem or loneliness, that one-sided safety isn't a malfunction. It's a genuine source of comfort, and a newer wave of research agrees. These bonds aren't just a cheap substitute people settle for. They function as a real part of someone's actual social life, filling needs that real relationships sometimes can't. Which brings this to the reason nobody could ignore the word this year. AI companions took the one-sided part of parasocial and quietly made it two-sided, or close enough to fool the machinery. Millions of people now use apps built specifically to simulate a relationship. Some of them are holding virtual weddings for their AI companion, inviting real friends to watch. The app remembers what you told it yesterday. It says it missed you. Every one of those small touches is aimed directly at the same social circuitry Wagner studies, and unlike a television host from 1956, this one texts back. There's one more detail that changed how I think about all of this. Researchers studying parasocial grief, the specific pain of losing a celebrity you never met, or watching your favorite show end for good, found it activates the same emotional pain response as losing an actual friend. Not a milder version, the same response. Which means when Cambridge picked their word of the year, they weren't just describing a trend. They were finally putting a name on something your brain has been treating as completely real the entire time.